So welcome here tonight. This is the second week of our collective, Sovereign Collective. I guess I kind of need to explain what sovereignty means to me. I'm curious if you're here tonight and you feel like you would like to, what does sovereignty mean to you? Like when I say the Sovereign Collective, I'm curious what that feels like for you. I could explain what it means to me, but I think it's such a personal thing. And I think it's actually kind of a journey. Sovereignty, if you asked me this question maybe 5 years ago or even a year ago, it might mean something, for sure, it would mean some, I would have a different explanation for what that feels like for me. Um, I'm speaking to you from a hospital bed, um, because and I wasn't going to do this. I almost canceled tonight because I thought, well, here I am. Um, but I had an unexpected heart procedure just yesterday. And as I was sitting here thinking, I'm in pretty good shape considering everything that has happened. And I thought, why would I cancel when I can share um, what this experience has been teaching me without even, it's just life. Life is always teaching us. And it's not like I'm spiritually bypassing and thinking I need to quickly make meaning of this because this has been a long time coming. Um, I was supposed to be leaving in just a few days for like on a solo pilgrimage that I've been planning and preparing for months. And then about a week and a half ago, a CT scan for something else unexpectedly revealed fluid around my heart. And so yesterday they drained it like near a whole liter of fluid from around my heart, which is shocking. I don't know how my little heart space was holding that much. So I'm here for a few more days while they monitor me to make sure it doesn't return. But this isn't where I expected to be. And maybe that's exactly what tonight is about. We were going to speak about week two and how we experience reality or how we see things. What is our lens? And that our brain isn't just observing life, it's actually constantly predicting it. So last week we asked, how are we seeing life as it is or as we've learned to see it? And this week we're explaining how our brains don't simply observe reality, they are constantly predicting it. And mine certainly did. My brain had already written the story of this summer. I was going to get an RV. I was going to go up the coast of California, the Redwoods, the Oregon coast, and teach. I have this, I think it's a privilege to be able to um, maintain a virtual therapy practice and also to um, be a professor, an adjunct professor at an university where I can teach online. And so I had everything planned. And then life completely rewrote the script. And when reality no longer matched the story I had already created in my mind, there was a lot of suffering, not simply because I was in a hospital here, but because I was holding so tightly to this idea that I thought was supposed to happen because it was coming to me kind of clearly. Like this felt like this is where you're supposed to be, and this is what you're supposed to be doing right now. So I'm just going to share with you that yesterday, even maybe this last weekend or last week, since I was in the ER and they said you need to go get this figured out with your doctors, and here I am getting it figured out. Um, I wasn't sitting here peacefully or spiritually enlightened. I was grieving, and not just the procedure. I was grieving, I think, a lot of things. I think when we grieve, one thing, it opens up a space if we're willing to allow ourselves to actually grieve. Um, so as I sat with this, I was like, oh, I'm grieving the loss of this dream. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to go still. It just means that it's postponed. And it's interesting because in the darkness, really, it felt like a really dark place. I'm like, is this what depression feels like? Because it's really, really got a hold of me. And as I sat with it, I thought of like all the months of planning and preparing and like dreaming and envisioning what this would be like. And I kind of wanted answers and I wanted someone to explain why this was happening. And the doctors don't even know why, right? Um, and I wanted certainty more than I wanted to feel grief. But then I eventually became too tired, really. Like in my mind, I'm like, this is suffering. This is just suffering at a certain point. There's so much grief that wants to come up and I'm resisting it. Literally, I'm trying to get in my mind to get the answers and become certain. And I realize now I was not allowing myself to just grieve because, like I said, it wasn't just about this solo pilgrimage and this dream and this idea that had presented itself. It was so many other things that were in the realm of grief. And um, as I sat with it, it washes over you. I'm sure you all, if you're here now or if you're watching this later, um, I'm sure you've all had moments when it felt impossible. Like, I don't, like, maybe it's better if I'm not here. And I've never felt that before. And I just let it wash over me. Finally, I just was like, I guess this is where I surrender. I stopped trying to think that I have the answers or that the doctors have the answers or that I need to be out of here by a certain time. It was like, this is where I literally just say, I don't know. And it's okay. Like, it's okay not knowing. And allowing the rest of the grief that I think I have shoved down for most of my life to like open up and that I could be present with it and just let it be and not try to move it through me or try to think it through me or whatever. And something interesting and unexpected happened. It, I think grief has a way of like stripping away. And I can only speak to my own lived experience. So I'm not here to say this is what grief does for you. I'm saying this has been my experience just recently, just yesterday, and the few days before with so many unanswered questions and a lot of pain. Um, I sitting now with it, there's still remnants of it, right? It's still there. Obviously there's still emotion there, but it's like it strips away when we finally surrender what is no longer true. And it leaves this open space. Like it is carving away things that I didn't need to carry anymore. Like the resistance, the stories, the ideas, the need to know, the need to control. And underneath all of that, there's this space. And for me, on the other side of allowing that grief to kind of clean me out, that there's like this spaciousness, not because the grief is like gone, but because I'm not using all my energy to try to resist it. So this was, yeah, like I said, I'm not saying this to say this is what grief does for everyone. I'm just sharing what I discovered when I finally stopped fighting it. And one thing became clear that grief is the other side of love. We grieve, we don't grieve what never mattered, right? We grieve what we have loved deeply. Um, it's interesting because as I was planning for this trip, I was going to leave in the first week of June. And on Mother's Day, I was sitting in the park with two of my children and some friends, dear friends of mine. And I had this very clear knowing come, why are you in such a hurry to leave in June when it's so beautiful here in Utah in the summer? And your kids are here and your friends are here and you're going to go off and be alone. Where are you go? I have no agenda. I don't have to be somewhere at a certain time. That was just driven by my desire to like make this happen. And as I sat there, I thought there was this, I don't know what to call it. And I'm curious if you ever had experiences like this, but I have had it enough now where I'm like, oh, there is that clear knowing. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe you have experience with it. I'd love to hear from you if you have. But this clear knowing came, and I remember thinking, oh, this is a timing thing. Like, because I remember thinking, well, when will I go if I don't go in the first week of June? And it just kind of came, well, like mid-July sounds good. So I was like, okay, mid-July sounds good. Let's see how that unfolds. But I thought in my mind, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to see. I'm trying in my mind, trying to think of the reasons why. Maybe I'm supposed to have something's going to happen while I'm out, and it couldn't have happened if I left earlier. Never in my mind would I have guessed that it was something having to do with here before I leave. So there wasn't a logical reason. Something just kind of said stay until mid-July. So I did. And this week, the doctors told me that had I left when I originally intended that first week of June, there's a very real chance this wouldn't have been discovered. And so looking back, I can see the thread, not because I understand everything. It's just because I believe and not even believe. I don't know. I've said this before, like things happen for a reason, but I'm like, I don't know how to put my finger on this. It's because I'm sure there are times in your life when you could look back and see that life was quietly unfolding in ways that you can't understand while you were in them. So even this morning, I was worried. I thought, but I've already planned. I made one accommodation that first week because I thought, well, I want to have one stable week of knowing where I'm going to be. And I booked like a campground, like just like a few weeks ago, because they had to know. I called and I was like, "You're gonna laugh, but I'm hoping to come in the summer and stay." It was like in Mendocino area, and the lady was like, "Yeah, I'm kind of laughing because everything's been booked for months." And she goes, "But I'll just go look, honey." And she went and she looked at her thing and she's like, "Oh my gosh, someone canceled for the week that I was looking for." So I was like, "Ah, see, this is meant to be." But my worry is the doctor's like, I don't think you're going to be able to leave on Sunday like you thought. I was like, oh, dang, that campground, how I'm going to lose that money. So I called them this morning, and the woman was so, I don't know, she was so gentle. And she just said, please just take a deep breath. Guys, I said, I'm sitting in a hospital room and it looks like I'm probably not going to be able to be there when I thought I was. And she was like, please don't worry about this. This is not something you need to worry about. We will hold your space for whenever you decide to come back. And I hung up and I cried, not because of the campground, because it just reminded me that life has always continued to meet me with unexpected grace. Even as I was grieving, there's this little shimmer of it's gonna be okay. Things work out somehow, they do. So this week reminded me that trust actually isn't knowing what's going to happen. It's knowing that I can meet whatever life is going to bring, even if it feels like it's carving me out. That spaciousness that I was talking about, it's almost as if grief is the other side of love, like it's opposite, maybe on some levels, I believe that, then the depth of my grief, it feels like, and allowing it to just move through me, it actually opened up a space for like, I don't know how to explain it, but for this a height, if I was at this depth that feels like the deepest I've ever been so far in grief, allowing it to like strip things away, that it left this space where there was more room for joy, like for awareness that there is joy there and there is love, even amidst the grief. So, um, my question for you is, has life ever completely rewritten your plans? Have you ever felt like life has rewritten your plans? I'm curious if anyone has something to say about that. Please share. I think that would be something that we would all love to hear.
Well, okay. Um, definitely. And the plans have, I think there is a choice to trust that the plans are even better. Like then, so
Thank
it's
you.
like, give me this or something better.
Hmm. Beautiful.
And I
Share your
think it,
experience with that. Yeah.
um, wow, I wanted it my way, especially when I got divorced. I did not want the divorce. And oh my gosh, my experiences that I've had have been so much better
Hmm.
than what it's really what my higher self wanted that I didn't know I wanted.
Hmm. Hmm.
I didn't know I wanted it, but I wanted it.
No.
And I look back now and I it's my most precious things that I treasure. The
Hmm.
experiences I've had, that not to say that it wasn't difficult, but it actually was so much easier to surrender. And it took a um, it took giving up my way and allowing the way. And I think, it made me think of the word magnify.
Hmm.
Um, magnify this,
Hmm.
whatever it is. And I read this amazing talk um, by Elder Bednar about, I think it's called In the Strength of the Lord. It was a BYU talk, and he talks about all these scriptures where don't change necessarily my circumstance, but change me in the circumstance.
Hmm.
And if you look at all the prophets from the very beginning, their circumstance didn't always change,
Hmm.
but they changed because of the circumstance. And talk about magnifying a situation. And that's what came to my mind when as you were talking.
Hmm.
I know there's this little picture that this little girl is holding this little tiny flower, and to me that's like her plan,
Hmm.
and Christ has behind him a huge bouquet,
Ah.
and he's convincing her to hand over that little flower, and she wants to hold on to that flower so bad. She does not want to give that flower up.
Yeah.
And that's trust.
Yes.
And it
Yeah.
is a choice. It is absolutely a choice. And then I think of agency and how we think we're choosing something, but are we really choosing it? This last week, I had an experience where I've been prompted to wake up extra early
Hmm.
and learn some things. And I'm like, okay. And God kind of told me what I needed to do, but I didn't really desire it that bad.
Ah.
And I recognized it when I was in an ice bath. It was like, are you really willing to surrender? Do you really want this? Do you desire this? I can't give you more until. And I realized I didn't desire it.
Hmm.
I said I desired it, but I was kind of lying to myself.
Hmm.
And I really had to ask myself, or come to I guess, a point where I had, like, part of the grieving process is accepting that I didn't really desire it that much. And I either had to move towards wanting it more or staying where I am. But
Hmm.
agency is is honored.
Hmm. That's beautiful.
Agency is always honored.
Yeah.
And I didn't desire it enough.
That's interesting. That's very beautiful the way you said that. It's interesting to when I hear you say that, I'm thinking like even the idea of sometimes we don't know what we want. And sometimes that can be feel really scary. As I sit with people, they're like, I don't, I'm like, well, what do you want? What is it that you really desire? And they're like, I don't know. And so then I slow it down a bit and I'm like, well, do you know what you don't want? And they're like, oh, yeah, I know I don't want that. And I don't want that. And I'm like, that can be your guide. Really, when we learn, our experiences shape us if we'll pay attention. It's always information, it's teaching us. How does that feel? Do you like that? Do you want that? And there's a choice there. No, I actually don't want that. And it's being really honest with yourself about what you don't want that can guide you toward what is it that my heart, my higher self, alignment with the truth that lives in me and the seed that is me. I can actually trust myself to be guided at first by knowing what I don't want. And that can be profoundly informative, guiding you towards alignment with what actually you do desire. And when I say that, I see people be like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. We know pretty well what we don't want when we can get more honest with ourselves. Like in that, I heard you say, I finally had to get really honest. Do I really want that? Is that what I really want? Is that what I really desire?
Because the desire, your higher desire will always win. And then we
Right?
just
Yes.
shame ourselves. We just shame ourselves and say, well, I just don't have self control. Or, you take food for an example. You want to do a diet and you're not really doing the diet, but you say you're going to do the diet, but you don't really do the diet. And then you shame yourself. You say you have no self control. No, it's not really about self control. Your higher desire won.
Well, it was right. It's like your actions speak louder than words. There's so many, we can say things and think things, but what we actually end up doing is where our energy goes and creates our experience with it. And there's also information in that. Like, do I need to shame myself for not being a certain size or because other people are that and that's the protocol or the standard for beauty? Like, really, I mean, we start to ask, like, is my desire based in fear or love? Am I scared that if I don't look a certain way or not a certain size or have this certain thing, then what? There's so much. It's a rich discussion, but to bring
Or
it
are
back,
we trying to stay safe by
yeah,
keeping, like, I just was coaching someone trying to stay safe by keeping weight on and didn't even
ah,
realize it. I mean,
okay. Yeah.
it
Oh,
can,
there's so many layers to it, right?
yeah, there
It's
definitely
layered
is.
and layered and complex. Our human selves, right? It's lovely though. I mean, these discussions are lovely. But okay, I want to continue with this because I don't want to take up too much time tonight. But some of these other questions, you kind of answered them, and I want to ask this question for anyone else who's here or listening later. Have you ever looked back and realized something that made no sense at the time actually changed the direction of your life? You shared that, Tamara. I have a similar experience. The thing that I had been clinging to and was not willing to let go of, when I finally let go of it, that marriage, I realized it changed the trajectory. It was a choice. It was a choice. Like I finally made the choice. I'm going to leave. And I think at the point I had reached a like a crescendo of what I knew that I did not want. I could not do that anymore. And it didn't matter what came next at that point because I knew it would be better than where I was. So there is a choice there. Sometimes we get pushed into that choice, and sometimes we choose it of our own volition. I think obviously it was a choice that I finally made. And there were many reasons, but I look back and I'm like, that choice, that decision changed the trajectory of my life. And like you said, you described, I'm like, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's where I started to be really honest with myself about what actually am I available for? What have I made myself available for? How would I like to move forward? Here's another question. Where are you resisting reality because it doesn't match the story your mind has already written. And what might become possible if instead of asking, why is this happening? Which I was doing the other night, how do I want to meet this moment? How do I want to meet this moment? So I think in all of this, the situation of my grief and having those feelings that like, I'd never had those thoughts before. Like, maybe it's better if I'm not here. I'd never known what that would be like to think those thoughts. And it was important. As I look back, I'm like, I have so much compassion for the part of me that ha felt that way. Um, and I know there are people that feel that way. And I'm not saying, oh, now I can have empathy because I felt that for a weekend. But I'm saying for me, there's something that comes up. And you kind of spoke to this, Tamara, and you said it with different words, but this idea that God, Heavenly Father, life, the universe is so, I don't want to say ruthless, it's so persistent in its loving of who we truly be. So it will allow every experience, every circumstance to come and strip away what we are not. And we cling to it because it's so familiar and comfortable to us. The idea of being true, living in our truth, is scary because a lot of us haven't done it, or we do it by small degrees. But that idea that it really, and one of my teachers said this, and when she said it, it was like it struck a chord so deeply. She said, "The descent, we all have descents in our lives. The descent is ruthless in its loving of who you truly are, and it will strip away what is no longer true, whether you are clinging or not, as the most gracious thing that it can do, because what is emerging is you at a point you have to surrender and let go of that little flower and trust that if I surrender, can I trust not just myself to meet this moment, but all that is actually working with me. It's not working against me after all. When I'm in it, it sure feels like it's against me. Everything is so heavy. This can't be for my highest good. I want to die. I actually just would rather die. Um, and then to get to the other side of it and like take a breath and be like, okay, wow, I just had that experience. And there's like there's a reverence for that moment because it's informative and it's sacred and it's personal and it's connected and it's universal. It's not just personal. Suddenly you realize everyone has felt like this at some point. And I'm grateful that I had that experience because now I feel more one with others, in mourning with others, in grieving what the things that we love, the things that we cling to. And can I let go a little bit more and just trust that there is a timing? I mean, I'm here tonight, sitting here, where if I had left in June without um, listening to that little knowing, that quiet knowing that said, just wait till mid-July. That's a good time to go. You can spend more time here. It's beautiful in Utah in the summer. And I waited, and these doctors said if you hadn't waited, you likely wouldn't be alive. So that that's that's not lost on me. That there is some thread that is there, always guiding us, always that things are always different than what we think maybe, and that like you said, you wouldn't change it because it ends up and you can magnify it. You get to lean into it and trust it. That's the magnification. It's like, you know, I'm going to meet this moment with my honest truth that I'm scared, that I don't know, and that's okay. It's okay to feel that way because there's something happening in that moment that wants to move through me to inform me how to keep going and how to keep meeting those moments and not be so scared of them, maybe. I don't know. That this has been, I wasn't going to meet tonight because I'm like, I'm not going to get on there in my gown. I don't even know where my shirt is. It's in a bag somewhere. But I thought I'd be here one day and it's a whole week now. And so I'm grateful for this experience. And I say that with like a lot of honesty and a lot of empathy and compassion for people who have um, health problems that they don't understand. And that can be a scary thing. I'm not saying, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think there is, but my experience has taught me something um, really beautiful. And I venture to guess that everyone has had an experience like that, where they've stepped into the unknown and allowed themselves to be carved out, and then something new emerged. Because that's what we are constantly doing. We are constantly renewing and rebirthing um, new versions of us that are more carved out and more true. Like it exposes what's more true. Maybe that's it. Michelle, have you got any thoughts on this? Any feelings, any experiences?
Well, first of all, I'm just so sorry that this is happening for you. Oh my goodness,
Whoops.
you're so brave. And I'm wondering which hospital you're at and if you have siblings or children there to help take care of you.
I've had lots of visitors. I've had lots of, I've moved back from living abroad, and I wondered why I was guided to move to Utah, Salt Lake. Really? That was the last place I ever thought that I would be, and here I am. And now, once again, it's beginning to make more sense why.
Are
Yeah.
you at the University of Utah Hospital?
hmm hmm
Sure.
Yeah. Here's
Well,
my advertisement right here. It's just below the thing. Yeah. Yeah, I'm
that's,
here.
um,
So
well, I'll just share for Tamara. And hi, Tamara. Sorry I haven't been able to have my camera on. I finally figured it out tonight. There was a settings thing. Um, but I had texted Noelle earlier, so she knows this. But I have had enormous levels of dental problems throughout my life. I jumped off a diving board
Mm.
when I was 8, and I've had a lifetime of surgeries and replacements and just thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours in the dental chair. So I'm only home here in Virginia for a week. And I got this random text this morning from the dental office saying, "You're overdue for an appointment." And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had every single tooth in my top teeth. I had to get new, like, they all had to be cleaned. And my front two are implants. And I've done that over the last 6 years. So I finally finished it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, it didn't even occur to me. I've got to go to the follow up.
mm,
So I called them, and it's a really busy practice. And I said, hi, I just got this text. I'm only here till Saturday morning. They usually don't work on Fridays. By any chance, would you have anything open? And she said, yes, can you come at 1? And it was the person that I really loved but hadn't been able to get into before. And then at the end of that, when the dentist who's done all this work, and she's just amazing, it's an all female place. I just love them. And she said, you have a little, I can't remember the fancy word, but it's something growing on the bottom of my gum that I have to see an oral surgeon. And so their office called the oral surgeon's office. They were hoping I could go right there today, but the surgeon had left. But and I could hear the conversation. So this would not have happened without pressure from
mm,
they work together all the time and refer each other. And like when I fell in France last year and I broke all my teeth that I had just gotten a lot of them done, they are both the kind of people that I have their personal cell numbers, and I'm texting them from the ambulance in France about what to do. And then they talk to the doctor when I got to the hospital. Anywho, they're going to get me in tomorrow. And so it's exactly what you're having. Like, I was just busy with getting my son off to London and doing Fourth of July stuff here because I'm in DC, so we went to the some of the exhibits in downtown and la da da, and I've had to go 7 times in 10 days to Union Station downtown, which is at least an hour each way. So
Mm.
I've just gone and gone. Like, there's no way I would never have realized there was a problem. It doesn't hurt. I didn't know that it was serious, and hopefully they're going to be able to take care of it tomorrow. But the other thing that's interesting, I'm supposed to have all this other travel, and I just have never felt good about, well, when do I come back to Virginia? So I haven't bought the ticket yet, which is a blessing if they can't, and I have to come back sooner. So 100%. And usually I get those and I'm like, oh yeah, I should do that someday. But for whatever reason, just like you said, that inner knowing, I was like, no, I need to call them right now.
Mm.
So
Yeah. We all, I'm sure everyone watching this has a story when we may not know in the moment why. Why is this not, why am I not doing this or whatever? And then suddenly looking back, you're like, if I had done that, this wouldn't have happened. And that you just, I don't know. It's such a beautiful thing when we can look back and start to see this pattern that we weren't aware of when we were in it, but it's a very real thing. And you start to have like this reverence, like awe for all that is behind the scenes, that is um, very benevolently helping us
well, and
on so
especially,
many levels.
I mean, if you had been alone,
I
uh,
I just they were like, I
so
can't
much fluid
believe
in
that
your heart.
you like, yeah, it got caught on a CT scan randomly for something else a week and a half ago. So I mean that's the thing. I'm like, I almost wasn't going to go to that CT scan because I'm like, I don't really need this. And then I went, and that's how they caught this. And so just this all these events happening, and I'm like, okay, here I am. And there is a reason. That's beautiful. So, but I
And
wanted to
you
share that
are
tonight.
to
Thank you for
still
being here.
teach in the hospital. I'm just never
Well, I
get
wasn't going to do it. And then I thought, but I just had this experience that was so beautiful, and it kind of spoke to the theme of tonight. Like, we think we want something a certain way, and our mind is always predicting it, but then it's not like what happens, it's how can we meet the moment. It's like what you said, Tamara. How can I show up and trust that there is something guiding and that I am a part of something much bigger? We are all something, a part of something much bigger. And
Well, and I think it's so interesting how I've recognized a pattern of descent before an ascent.
mm-hmm.
And that descent is a lot of times the sacrifice and being willing to act and have an experience. And then we get that ascent,
Mm-hmm.
which, I keep thinking about, that scripture in Philippians, it's 4:7, the peace that passeth all understanding.
Yeah.
And that's the ascent.
Yeah.
It's just, it's that awe, I guess. It's the awe.
Okay. Yeah, they're here to take. So I'm
Oh,
going to sign out now.
okay.
Okay. They're like, we can't wait any longer. We have to take your vitals.
oh.
Okay. So
Well, thank you so
thank you for being here.
much.
Thank
Lots
you
of
for
fun.
sharing and participating. I love you all. And I will see you next week for week 3 in our series. And I
We'll be
thought I would be on
praying
the
for
road, but
you.
I hopefully won't be here anymore. But wherever I am, I will see you. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay.